Hello. Thank you for joining me for this yoga class. This class is appropriate for experienced beginners and intermediate students. Now let's begin. Bringing your hands together over the heart. Namaste. Coming back to a comfortable seated position, and begin relaxing your face, your jaws, your lips, your tongue, your mouth. Centering your breath, and allowing the breath to become smooth and slow and subtle as you very gently begin to move your head around to the left or to the right. Not trying to stretch anything, just exploring range of motion. The more you relax your face, the more the neck and shoulders also will begin to release sympathetically. You can begin to roll your shoulders as you move your head, lengthening the exhale into a sigh. As you roll the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades sliding around on the back. And then coming back to center. Now moving into our first twist of the class, leading with the left shoulder, roll the shoulder back, reaching around behind you with your left hand, crossing the right fingertips over the left knee. Lifting, rotating, and breathing into the twist. Try not to force the twist, instead come into a gentle, comfortable twist and then breathe deeply. Coming back to center, and then crossing to the second side, reaching behind with the right hand, rolling the right shoulder back and down as you lift the chest up, crossing the left hand over the right knee. And again, breathing deeply into the twist, breathing into the back, the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, the collarbones. One more deep breath, and then coming back to center. Circle with the rib cage. This is a good thing to do anytime you've twisted, just to help realign and reestablish the integrity of the spinal alignment. Now we're going to open up into a slightly larger twist, again reaching behind with the left hand, rolling the left shoulder back, and this time as you come into your twist, ease up on the twist a little bit and then undulate, rolling the ribs, rolling the shoulder blades, and sometimes this will free you up so that you can turn a little further, a little deeper without any restriction. Once you reach your maximum rotation, then begin to breathe deeply into the twisted position, breathing in to the back, the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, the collarbones. And then coming back to center, repeating that on the second side, reaching behind with the right hand, rolling the right shoulder back and down, lifting the heart, opening into your twist. Ease up on the twist and begin to undulate, rolling the ribs, rolling the shoulder blades, looking for increased space and freedom to turn a little bit deeper into the twist. Then, holding the deeper twist, begin to focus in on the breath. Again, a back, complete breath down the back into the belly, up the ribs, chest, shoulders, collarbones. And then coming back to center. Once again, circling with the ribs. As you circle to one direction, and then reverse directions. Try and involve your shoulder blades as well as the rib cage. And then finish out rolling the shoulders and coming back to center. Take a moment to notice your breath, centering and breathing smooth and deep and steady and diaphragmatic. Next, opening into a side stretch, take your fingertips to the ground, starting with the left hand on the floor. Float the right arm overhead. Try not to collapse the left side. Keep the left side of the rib cage long even as you flare the right rib cage. Try to draw the right shoulder blade and the inner armpit back behind your ear, and then turning your head to the right, looking in front of the arm, not behind it. Coming back to center, reaching the right fingertips to the floor, floating the left arm overhead. If you need a bigger stretch, walk the right hand away from you just a little bit, but try to avoid collapsing the right side of the rib cage. Keep expanding and lengthening through the right side even as you're flaring and stretching the left. Drawing that left inner armpit back, opening the chest, turning your head to look past the left arm, and then breathing into that. Coming back to center and again circling with the ribs. This is a good movement not only for twists but also for any type of side bend. Anything that takes your spine out of alignment, this can help to realign the vertebra. And again, roll out the shoulder blades and come back to center. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling, allowing the breath to be smooth and fluid. And then coming into Dandasana, into staff pose. Extend both legs in front of you. Internally rotate the thighs so that the outer edges of your feet are perpendicular. Draw the flesh out from the sit bones, tilt the pelvis forward. The fingertips can rest lightly on the ground, but don't use your hands to lift unless you get tired. We want to build strength in the core, so lifting through the core, the fingertips just touching the floor. If you start to fatigue and you feel yourself beginning to collapse, then use your arms enough to protect the spine so that we don't compress the low back. Now we'll be coming into a seated forward bend. If your hamstrings are tight, keep the knees bent enough that any sensation you feel is in the belly of the muscle, not behind the knees. If the hamstrings are fairly flexible, you're welcome to straighten the legs. Keep the quadriceps engaged, extend through the heels, pull the toes towards you. Your hands can rest on your thighs, on your knees, on your shins, or you can grab your feet. We want to try and keep the spine lengthening and keeping the front of the torso elongated so that we don't collapse and compress the lumbar vertebra. On the inhale, lift and lengthen and extend through the spine, from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head. On the exhale, lean into the stretch a little bit if it feels pleasant to do so. Remember not to strain and not to force the pose. We want to allow the yoga to have effects over time, not rushing anything. Coming back to Dandasana, shift your weight to the right and bring the left heel into your groin. Going to do a half-bound forward bend. Move your left foot to the left, swing the right leg in front of you so that your torso is lined up with the right leg. And then, similar to the forward bend, lift and lengthen, extend on the inhale, lean into the exhale, bending the knee if you need to keep the stretch in the muscle out of the fascia behind the knee. Breathing into this pose. And again, we're looking for gentle, pleasant sensations without strain. When you're ready, coming up, releasing the left leg in front of you, bend the right knee, bring the right heel into the groin, move your right foot a few inches to the right, and then swing the left leg around. So we swing the leg in line with the torso. Lift and lengthen through the chest as you breathe in, lean in as you breathe out. Again, the left knee bent or straight depending on how it feels. We never want to create stretching sensations in the back of the knee. There's no muscle back there, it's just ligaments and tendons that we don't want to destabilize. So bending the knee enough to keep the stretch in the belly of the muscle, straightening the leg if that feels good, and then breathing into the forward bend. Again, your hands can be on your thighs, your knees, your ankles, or you can grab your feet. Allow the breath to be full and smooth, always when your mind wanders, coming back to the breath. And then coming back upright, extending both legs in front of you, and bounce and roll, releasing any tension, straightening and bending again, and then coming back into a cross-legged seated position, and bringing your attention back once more to the breath, breathing diaphragmatically. As you breathe, with each exhale, relaxing the face, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. On the inhale, expand, lift, float lightly. On the exhale, soften. Now come to your hands and knees in table in preparation for cat-cow. Knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Spread your fingers really wide. Don't let the weight move to the outside heel of your hand. Instead, as you spread the fingers wide, root through the knuckle of the index fingers. Start each new movement from the tailbone. Finish with the head, letting the movement roll up the spine like a wave. As you breathe out, tuck the tailbone, round low, mid, upper back, tuck the chin. And on the inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, open the chest, and look up. Allow for a very slight rocking action. On the exhale, let your center of gravity drift back. And on the inhale, as you roll the shoulders back and open the chest and look up, let your weight shift forward slightly. Coming back to neutral, into table. Now, improvising. Randomly reposition your hands, adding some asymmetry, and begin to undulate, roll. Focus not on thinking, but on feeling your way. Feeling and adjusting to create sensations that feel healthy and pleasant. Try to increase variety and complexity and novelty in the sensations you're creating. Keep bringing your attention back to feeling. And then back to table. Now add a leg lift. Float the left leg back, lift the leg up, open the chest, look up, and then play with adjusting your hips, rolling your shoulders until you organize the pose where it feels good, and then set the knee down, round the back, exhale. Come back to neutral. Float the right leg back and up. You can roll the hip up a little, down a little bit. You can shift your center of gravity, all the while trying to organize the muscles until you feel a healthy contraction. Then work a little harder. And then set the knee down, round the back, and exhale. Coming back to table. A cat-cow to release tension. And then repeat with the left leg, and this time lift your right fingertips off the ground. If you're wobbly, keep them on the ground. If you feel stable, extend and lift. On the exhale, curl towards fetal touch, the right elbow to the left knee. On the inhale, expand and lift. One more repetition, working the pose a little bit, and set the knee down, round the back. Exhale, a couple of cat-cows, and then back to neutral. Float the right leg back, the left arm. On the exhale, touch the elbow to the knee. On the inhale, expand and lift. Couple more repetitions. Focus on lifting not the hand, but the shoulder blade and the thigh. One more expansion and lift. Hold, work the pose. And then when you're finished, come back to table. And now return to cat-cow, doing several repetitions, using this as an opportunity to release tension from the back, to relax, and to restore the quality of your breathing, and to recenter, focusing the mind. Next, we'll rest in an extended child's pose. Spread the knees a little wider, sink the hips back, walk the hands forward, lower your head towards the ground. You can experiment to find what's more comfortable to you. The arms can be crossed. You can reach the arms behind you. You can grab your wrist behind your back. The hips can sink back all the way onto the heels or can lift up off the heels a little bit. What's important is that you find a variation that allows you to rest and relax completely. Coming back to table and then lifting upright for camel. Leading with your left shoulder, reach around behind you. Place the hand on the hip, or you can reach for the thigh or for the foot. The hips come forward, the chest lifts, the heart is open, and then breathing into that pose. Keeping the breath full and deep. Coming back to center and then rotating to the right. Reach back with the right hand to the hip or to the thigh or to the ankle. The hips lift forward, the chest lifts up. Try to draw both shoulder blades into the spine, draw both shoulder blades down the back as the chest lifts and opens, and then breathing into twisted camel. Come back to center and then returning to table, and do a couple of cat-cows to relax and release any tension from the camel pose. Come to standing, and we'll be doing Trikonasana or triangle pose, stepping the feet wide, turning the right foot out, left foot in, and then spiraling the right leg. Root through the ball of the big toe in the front inner corner of the heel, and pull up and externally rotate the right thigh. Keep the lower rib cage extended. Try not to collapse. It's more important to keep the spine long than it is to try and reach the floor with the right fingertips. Find a steady, comfortable position and then breathing into that. Feel free to explore, to reposition, to feel your way into a healthier expression of Trikonasana. Then turn the attention back to the breath and looking for stillness physically but also mentally. When you're ready, come up, rotate to the second side. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Shift your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis. Lengthen the lower rib cage. Roll the shoulders back, keeping the heart open. And then breathing into the pose, steady and smooth. Keep expanding through the legs, through the groin, through the torso, through the shoulders. looking for steady and comfortable. And then coming back to center, turning the feet pigeon-toed, keeping the legs fairly wide, hang into a forward bend. Then coming back to standing, stepping your feet wide, turning the right foot out, Virabhadrasana 2. Turn the left foot in, spiral the right leg, and then without losing the spiral, bend the knee. As you bend the right knee, you want to try and keep the knee lined up with the center of the kneecap pointing at the second toe. Shoulders should be directly above the hips. Try not to lean out over the right leg, but stay centered. Keep the back leg straight and strong. And if you know how to spiral both legs, you're welcome to do that. When you're ready, rotate to the second side, turning the left foot out, turning the right foot in. Lunging, and as you bend the left knee, tracking, center of the kneecap lined up with the second toe. The back leg is straight and strong, pulling up and out on the thigh, externally rotating the left or the right thigh as you bend the left knee. Float the arms, sink the shoulder blades, open the heart, turning just your head to gaze out over the left fingertips. And then looking for a steady, smooth, fluid breath. Finishing with another forward bend, keeping the feet wide, turning pigeon-toed. Hang into the forward bend, sway a little left, a little right, forwards or backwards. Again, giving your breath a chance to return to normalcy. And then coming back upright, turning the right foot out, turning the left foot in, coming back into Virabhadrasana 2, spiral the right leg and keeping the spiral as you bend the right knee, keeping your shoulders lined up. Now this time lengthen through the right rib cage and bring your right forearm to rest on the thigh. Float the left arm overhead or reach out over the right leg. If that's too easy, you can bring your right hand to the floor. Try and pull the right shoulder forward and roll the left shoulder back, opening your chest. When you're ready, come up, rotate to the left. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in, bend the left knee while spiraling the leg. You want to get nice extension through the lower rib cage for extended lateral angle. So from Virabhadrasana 2, let your hips shift to the right and lengthen through the left rib cage. Left forearm resting on your thigh or placing your fingertips on the floor. The right hand can reach straight up towards the ceiling or can extend out over, lined up with the left foot. Try to draw that right shoulder blade back, opening the heart, turning your head to gaze up. When you're finished, come up and then release into a forward bend, feet wide, turn pigeon-toed. Sway a little left, a little right, forward or backward. And then step the feet together and roll back up, coming to the front of your mat, standing in Tadasana. Virabhadrasana 1. From prayer position, when you're ready, stepping your left leg back into a deep lunge. As you bend the right knee, place your hands on the thigh, push the thigh forward and pull the navel back. Lift the chest, engage the core, and only then float the arms out and up. You can allow that back heel to float off the ground in order to get your hips fully rotated, but that does make it more of a balanced pose. If you're having trouble with your balance, keep your heel, the back heel, on the floor for stability. Try and draw your shoulder blades back and down, chest forward and up. When you're ready, step up to Tadasana. Take a breath or two to center, coming back to prayer position. When you're ready, float the arms overhead. And then stepping back with the left leg into a deep lunge. Float the back heel, rotate your hips facing forward with the hips. Put your hands on your thigh, push the thigh forward, pull the navel back, lift the chest, float the arms out and overhead. Virabhadrasana 1. It's a very strong pose. We want to keep the back leg solid. Reaching back through the left heel, sinking the hips, drawing your center of gravity back, taking the weight out of the right leg and transferring it to the left. When you're finished, come into a forward bend, keeping the legs wide, turn pigeon-toed, bend the left knee, the right, sway side to side, and then coming back to Tadasana. Take a breath or two to center, and then stepping your feet wide, turning the right foot out at 90 degrees, turn the left foot in slightly at 60 degrees. Trikonasana, shift your hips to the left, tilt the pelvis, lengthen the lower rib cage, roll the shoulders back, open the heart. Left hand on the hip or float the left arm out. The right hand can rest on the thigh, on the shin, or on the ground. But don't measure success by how far down the right hand goes. Instead, focus on keeping the length of the spine, especially the right side of the rib cage. When you're ready, come up, rotate to the left, turn the left foot out at 90 degrees, turn the right foot in. Shift your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis, lengthen through the lower rib cage. Left hand on the thigh, shin, or floor. Shoulders back, chest open. Right hand on the hip or float the right arm out. Depending on how it feels, you can ease up or you can work your way a little deeper into the pose, and then turning your attention to the breath, smooth and steady. And then returning to center, releasing into a forward bend. Coming back to Tadasana. Centering with your breath. Stepping the feet wide. Turn the right foot out, left foot in. And then, when you're ready, spiral the right leg, and without losing the spiral, begin to bend the knee, extended lateral angle. Starting with Virabhadrasana 2, roll the hips away from each other, opening through the groin. Keep the navel engaged, the chest lifting, the shoulders back, the heart open, the weight in the back hip. Settling into Virabhadrasana 2, breathing into the pose, looking for steadiness, and then come back to center. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in, lunging. Keep the back leg straight and strong as you lunge. Float the arms, release the shoulders, open the heart, turn the head to the left, gazing out over the fingertips. Keeping that back leg solid and straight, sinking your weight into the back hip socket. The breath steady, smooth, and slow. Come back to center. Bring your hands to prayer. When you're ready, rotate the right foot out, turn the left foot in, and this time going into an extended lateral angle. Lengthen through the right rib cage, bring the right forearm to the thigh, extend through the left arm, reaching out overhead. Keep the back leg solid. The right forearm can rest on the thigh, or you can bring the right hand to the ground. Try to really keep that extension through the right side of the rib cage. When you're ready, switch sides. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Lunge into Virabhadrasana 2. Shift your hips to the right, lengthen the left rib cage, left forearm on the thigh, extend through the right arm, reaching out past the head, or bring the fingertips to the ground if you prefer. Try not to lean on the left arm, try to use your core to support you. When you're finished, come into a wide leg forward bend. Feet turn pigeon-toed, sway a little left, a little right. And then bring the feet together and roll back up to Tadasana. Next, we'll be coming down to the floor. Laying on your back, hug your knees, rock side to side, releasing any tension that you might have picked up in the low back. Bringing the feet back to the ground, knees bent. If you have a block handy, you can use it for the next pose. We'll be working with bridge, but it's not necessary. Start by pressing the kidneys down, curl the tailbone up off the ground, and then lift the hips just a few inches. And then you can slide the block underneath the pelvis flat, or if you turn it on its side, you can get a little bit more height. And if that's not enough, you can turn the block on its end and lift even higher. Those of you using a block, you can alternate between carrying your own weight or resting on the block. Those of you that aren't using a block, just use your legs and your core to support the pose without resting. Be sure not to turn your head left or right. Keep looking straight up the entire time. There are many variations for the arms, interlacing the fingers behind you, or you can support your hips with your hands, whatever works best for you. Grabbing the ankles is also an option. Lift your heels off the ground, come up onto your toes, and arch up into the pose a little more deeply, and then without losing the expansiveness, reach through the back of the heels, finding the floor without losing the openness in the chest. When you're ready to come down, roll back down one vertebra at a time. Be sure to keep your hips off the ground until the low back touches the floor. That prevents compression injuries as you're coming down. Now press your right foot into the floor, grab your left knee, pull it into your chest, and then continuing to pull on the left knee as you lift the right leg, hug both knees, rock side to side. Again, taking a few moments to let the low back decompress. Bring your left foot to the floor and then the right foot to the floor, knees bent. Interlace your fingers at the base of your neck. Now for the next pose, we'll be working abdominal core. Be careful not to pull on the head. We're just using the hands to support. Press the kidneys into the floor, hollow the abdomen, curl the upper back off the floor. Engaging your core, try to draw the sides in, try to draw the intestines up under the ribs. If that's too easy, lift one foot off the ground, bring the knee up to your chest, and then float the other foot off the ground, both knees bent. If that's too easy, straighten your legs part way. You can also work with any variations like twisting, curling up and touching the elbow to the opposite knee, and then switching sides. This helps to engage the transverse and the oblique muscles a little bit more actively. If that's not enough, you can straighten the legs at a higher angle and do scissors, crossing one leg over the other and then switching. Or you can cycle or walk, bringing one leg away and one towards you, or you can come into the full pose, bringing your heels 6 inches off the ground, curling the back off the floor, balancing on your pelvis. Whenever you're tired, bring the knees into your chest, hug the knees, rock side to side, and take a few breaths to relax. Then roll to one side and push yourself up to a comfortable seated position, and then extending the legs in Dandasana. Draw the flesh out from the sit bones, tilt the pelvis forward, outer edges of your feet perpendicular. Fingers touch the floor, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back and down, the chest forward and up, lengthening through the spine. Again, bend the knees a little bit if your hamstrings are tight, or bring the heels in. Now, hold your knees with the feet on the floor, or lift your feet off the floor and focus on keeping your back straight. If that's too easy, let go of the knees and straighten the arms either side of the knees. If that's too easy, straighten your legs, balancing on the sit bones. Ideally, your eyes are level with the center of your shin. If you get tired, bend the knees a little bit more, or hold on to the knees. Focus on keeping the integrity of your back straight and long, rather than on trying to straighten the legs. And then when you're ready, come back to Dandasana, staff pose. Coming over to your hands and knees, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes under, and now working with a few cat-cows, giving your low back a chance to relax, releasing tension. And as this pose becomes more familiar to you, let it be a more meditative movement, focusing on the breath and the movement flowing together. Again, letting your weight shift forward on the inhale, shift back on the exhale. Now, child's pose. Spread the knees a little wider, walk your hands forward, sink your hips back, and then find the most comfortable variation of child's pose. This is a good position to focus on breathing into the back of your body, the upper back, mid back, low back, and then into the belly. If you aren't sure whether you're breathing into the back or not, just imagine you are. And over time, you'll increase awareness of this area of your body and be able to feel the breath moving through the back more freely. Now we'll be working with plank. The main problem with plank is not knowing where your hips are. If they're too low, it can cause low back problems. If they're too high, you lose some of the benefit of the pose. So to help with this, we're going to do plank, keeping one knee touching the floor and extending the left leg back. Now, if you just barely lift the right knee off the floor, but keep it under the hips, it prevents you from sagging. You can test your alignment by touching the floor and then lifting the knee a 1/16 of an inch. Switch sides, step the right foot back, keep the left knee bent directly under the hip, but take all the weight off the knee, and then come back to the table. Step your left leg back, and now if you want to and you feel safe, step both legs back into full plank. Anytime you're worried that your hips may have sunk or lifted, test by bringing one knee forward, touching the floor, and the knee should barely graze the ground. If it hits, your hips are too low. If it misses the floor entirely, your hips are too high. When you're ready, come back down and sink back into an extended child's pose. Rest here for a breath or two. We'll be working next with a variation on plank called side plank. The same problem with side plank apply. We want to make sure that the hips stay in alignment. To do this, you're going to keep one knee on the floor. So when you're ready, from table, step the left leg back, keep the right knee on the floor, and then lift the left hand, roll the left hip up into side plank, but with the right knee on the floor. Then just barely lift the right knee off the ground without letting the hips lift or sink. If you get tired, the knee will touch the floor and can carry some of the weight, and if you have the stamina, just keep the right leg off the ground but barely. When you're ready, come back to table. Step the right leg back, keep the left knee on the floor, roll the hips open, the right hip rolling up, the right shoulder rolling up, the right hand extended towards the ceiling, and then take the weight out of the left foot and knee so that you're using your core and your shoulders to support you rather than the left leg. If you get tired and the hips begin to sink, the left knee will touch the floor, and that'll prevent you from dropping into an unsafe position. If you get tired, allow the left leg to support you, and if you have the stamina, keep the weight out of the left leg. When you're ready, a couple of cat-cows. Coming back to table, and then moving through cat-cow, and then sitting back into an extended child's pose, letting the hips release back towards the heels, walking the hands in front of you, lowering your head, breathing into this position, again practicing breathing into the back. We'll be doing side plank again. You can either keep the knee on the floor doing the same variation we just did, or if you trust yourself to maintain the integrity of the core, you're welcome to step back with both legs, and then take the weight out of the left hand, roll the left shoulder up, roll the hips over, and come into side plank. All the weight is on your right hand and your right foot on the outside edge. Then come back to plank, and then lift the right hand, and then float the right arm up, rolling the shoulder up into side plank on the second side. Be careful not to let your hips sink. Coming back to plank, and then bringing your knees to the floor, and then sinking your hips back, walking your hands forward, settling into an extended child's pose. And once again, bringing your attention back to the breath. Breathing into the back and then into the belly. Softening, settling into the exhale. Feel the spine lift slightly as you breathe in, sink as you breathe out, and then coming back to table and doing a few more cat-cows. And then from table, we're going to work with downward dog. Spread the fingers wide, middle finger pointing straight ahead, tuck the toes, lift the knees, reach back. At first, keep the knees bent and try and draw your chest through towards the feet, point the tailbone to the ceiling. And then, if your hamstrings feel open enough, you can begin to work on straightening the legs. Better to have the knees bent a little bit and the back nice and straight. You can Do a bicycle, bend one knee, reach the opposite heel towards the floor, and then go side to side. Drawing the chest through towards the feet, reaching the sit bones away. And then when you're ready, come back to table on your hands and knees. And then lowering yourself down for cobra. Plant your hands well behind the shoulders, wrist under the elbows. Point your toes behind you, press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Shrug the shoulders, roll the shoulders up, squeeze the shoulder blades together, draw the shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward, engaging the muscles in the back of the body, especially the mid, upper, and lower back. Keep working on extension, thrusting the chest forward, rolling the shoulders back, and breathing into cobra. When you're ready, come down, turn your head to one side, take a breath or two. Use your exhale to relax. And then planting your hands either side of your hips, palms down, and we'll work with locust. Press one foot into the floor and lift the opposite leg, engaging the low back and the buttocks. Try not to lift the hips, just the legs. Switch sides. Pressing down with the foot into the floor, lifting the opposite leg. And you can either do that again on either side, or you can work with full locust, lifting both legs. Press down with your palms and lift the legs. When you're ready, turn your head to the opposite side. Take a breath or two to rest. Use your exhale to surrender your weight, releasing your weight into the floor with a sigh. One more cobra. Press the feet down, shrug the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, thrust the chest forward, working the back muscles. This will be our last work for the back. When you're ready, downward facing dog. Down dog will be our last chance to burn off any stale energy. Spiral the arms, hollow the inner armpits, broaden the upper back. Point the tailbone up, lengthen the spine. When you're ready to slow down, pigeon pose, leading with the right leg coming forward, slide the left leg back. To ease up on the stretch, move your left leg to the left and forward. To intensify, walk your left leg back and to the right. Counterbalance with the arms. Find a gentle stretch in pigeon, and then focus on breathing and relaxing. If the body resists, back off, walking the left leg to the left and forward to ease up on the stretch. On the other hand, if the muscles begin to relax, work your way deeper. Stretching the exhale will also help to calm and relax the muscles. With each exhalation, stretching the exhale into a sigh. When you're ready, step back into downward facing dog. Take a breath or two. When you're ready, leading with the left leg coming forward, sliding the right leg back into pigeon pose. Again, walk the right leg to the right and forward to diminish the stretch. Slide it back and to the right to intensify. Start with a gentle stretch, take a few breaths. And then, depending on how the body is responding to the stretch, either back off or work your way in a little deeper. Again, breathing and relaxing with each exhale, melting into the stretch. When you're ready, coming back to downward facing dog. Take a breath or two. And then coming down to your hands and knees, and then turning around, laying on your back, hug the knees, rock side to side. Lengthen the spine. Draw the knees back to your chest, and either hug both knees or hug your right knee and straighten the left leg. Roll your legs to the left and then turn your upper body to the right for a reclining twist. As you relax into the twist, bring your attention back to the breath. Breathe into the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulder, and especially finishing up in the right shoulder. Feel the right shoulder lift a little bit as you breathe in, and on the exhale, let the right arm get heavy. Take a breath or two. And then coming back to center. Draw both knees or your left knee into your chest. Roll to the right, anchor the knees with the right hand, and turn the upper body back to the left. As you relax into your second twist, bring your attention back to the breath. Breathing into the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, especially the left shoulder. Feel the shoulder lift a little as you breathe in, relaxing into the exhale. Take a few more breaths. Breathing deep and full. And then coming back to center, hug your knees, rock side to side. And we'll be closing with Shavasana. Taking a few moments to get comfortable, feet spread hip width apart, hands spread evenly away from the hips, palms turned up. If your low back feels tight or compressed, keep the knees bent. If you're more comfortable, you can straighten the legs out. Pay attention to your breath, slowing the breath down and allowing the breath to be more fluid. Breathing diaphragmatically, the abdomen rises and expands as you breathe in, softens as you breathe out, while the chest remains still. Begin relaxing your face, your neck and shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers. Take a deeper breath, let that fall away with a sigh. Relaxing the feet, the ankles, the calves, the knees, the thighs. Loosening hips, relaxing the buttocks. Take a deeper breath. Let the arms and the legs fall away with a sigh. relaxing the low back and the belly, the kidneys, the ribs, the chest, and the shoulders. The back of the neck, and soften the throat. The jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. And especially the eyeballs melting into the back of your head. Relaxing all the muscles around, behind, beneath, between the eyes. The eyelids, the eyebrows, and the forehead. Letting the temples grow soft and hollow. And relaxing the scalp and the crown. And bringing your attention back to the breath, rising and falling. As you breathe in and as you breathe out. Letting go. And I'll bring you back out of Shavasana when it's time. Trusting the floor, trusting the ground to support your body as you release your body into the earth and turn your attention to the breath. breathing a little deeper into the belly, the ribs, the chest. And as you breathe deeper, spread the fingers, feel the air between the fingers, the toes. And then when you're ready, moving into a lazy stretch. Arching, twisting, bending, and then roll to your side and pushing yourself up into a comfortable seated position. I'd like to thank you for joining me for this practice. I hope to see you again soon. Bringing your hands together over the heart. Namaste.